Hey friends, welcome back to your channel, and in this video I'll talk about my top 3 pointers each from these 3 books. And if you're new here, then hello, my name is Aakash. I'm a chartered accountancy student. Now let's get started. First, let's talk about Hell Yeah or No by Derek Sivers. The first thing from this book is from the very first page. It talks about the idea of out of the things you're doing right now, which ones will you stop doing if you didn't need money or fame? Like, if you won a lottery tomorrow, what are the things that you're doing right now that you stop doing? Now, when I thought about it, I thought that I'm studying for money, but then I thought that I do like to learn about taxes, laws, and accounting and stuff. But I'm sure that there'll be so many people who are studying the same course as me only because you get an opportunity to earn big sums, but they hate accounting. Who do you think will survive in this game if the money factor was removed? Plus, doing things which you like helps you being satisfied with your life, and that's the reason I started this YouTube channel, because I want to help people with all what I know. And when someone comments on my video that it helped, that's when I feel like, yeah, this was a success. The second thing from this book was think like a bronze medalist and not silver. Now imagine how would it feel in a race to win a silver medal. Like, if you'd been just 1 second faster, you would have won the race. You'll just keep comparing yourself with the other person and feel envy. Now imagine how would it feel to win a bronze medal. Like, if you'd been just 1 second slower, you wouldn't have won anything. You'll be happy and grateful. Of course, there's still room for space, but you wouldn't be as full of envy as the silver medalist. The idea here is that if you catch yourself burning with envy and resentment, just think like a bronze medalist and not a silver, and instead of comparing up with the next higher situation, just compare yourself with the next lower one. This is a simple hack to feel happy and grateful in the times of resentment. The third point is that there's always more than two options. Like, when people say that they have only one option, they're saying that they have no choice, and you know that's wrong. At the very least, you can add do nothing and go insane as options. And when people have two options, they're saying that they got stuck, because once people get two options, they start comparing the pros and cons of those two and forget to think of others. And what Derek says here is that great insights come only from opening your mind to many options. So whenever you have to make a choice, just don't be stuck between two options and think of all the ridiculous options which looks like dilemmas, because you never know if you'll find the right one there. Alright, now let's talk about $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan. This is a very niche book about how to start a business, but I guess some of the things from it have a general application. So the first thing from this book that I'd like to share is what Noah calls now, not how. This simply means just to start taking action with the mindset that I'll figure it out in the journey. And this is something many people struggle with, because whenever they decide they want to do something, their first intuition is to learn more and planning every single bit until it looks perfect. But something that I've learned in my previous years is that there's no perfect, and no one can be good from the very beginning. And it's only those who never start because of the perfectionism syndrome who gets left behind in this life race. That's why I personally subscribe to the saying that done is better than perfect. Next up from this book is the rejection goals. We all get this bad feeling whenever we get rejection from someone, but Noah says that whenever you're starting out something, always have a set of rejection goals that you're gonna get rejected at least this many times before you get a yes from someone, and that really helps to keep the motivation alive. Because even when we start messy, we all have this false hope of validation which we surely won't get, but without the messy part, you won't even get there. Like Mr. Beast said that your first 50 videos are gonna suck, so there's no point of having a false hope of validation in that time. And this can also be approached with a little different thinking, that every rejection takes you one step closer to success, and having a rejection goal really helps you tackling the depression from such stuff. And the last thing I'd like to share from this book is the customer first approach. And this is where many businesses fail, because they try to sell what they want to sell irrespective of the customer's opinion. For example, if I try to make a YouTube video about, say, an art class, I don't think people will even click on it. But if I do some reverse engineering here and do some research about what people like to watch, maybe a day in a life vlog or some famous book summary or some latest tech review, there are high chances that people will click on it. And the same goes with other businesses. Like, don't try to sell what you want to sell. Have the customer first approach, look for what the customer wants, and then start working on the project. Because in the end, it's the customer who's going to pay for it, but only if you'll provide some value he's genuinely willing to pay for. And if you're interested in all this kind of stuff, I'd highly recommend you reading this book. It can really change the way you think of business startups. Now, finally, let's move to Slow Productivity by Cal Newport. So, this book actually challenges some of the predominant beliefs we have about productivity, the biggest one being pseudo productivity, which means just measuring the magnitude of our productivity based on the amount of time we spend working. This book actually has 3 principles of slow productivity, so let's get to them one by one. The first principle is to do fewer things. The principle says that strive to reduce your obligations to the point where you can easily imagine accomplishing them with time to spare. Leverage this reduced load to more fully embrace and advance the small number of projects that matter most. Sometimes we put so much stuff into our bucket list that we get so caught up into finishing the stuff, leaving us no time to relax, or we end up achieving nothing. And what Cal suggests is to do fewer things so that you can enjoy the process along with some time to spare and not be overwhelmed by all the ruts. The second principle is to work at a natural pace, which says don't rush your most important work, allow it instead to unfold along a sustainable timeline with variations in intensity in settings conducive to brilliance. We generally think that rushing into stuff and taking things at a faster pace is the correct approach, and one of the subchapters of Hell Yeah or No actually talks in favor of it. But one of the best things about productivity is that its principles are subjective and not objective, i.e., it may vary from person to person, condition to condition, and they're really flexible. So, Carl's suggestion is to take things at a natural pace and to take your time. And he's not just saying it, he's given a bunch of examples, like it took Galileo over 15 years for the identification of laws of pendulum motion. Similarly, Isaac Newton began his thinking over gravity in 1655, but his first publication about gravity was in 1687. The final rule is to obsess over quality, to which Cal says, obsess over the quality of what you produce, even if this means missing opportunities in the short term. Leverage the value of these results to gain more and more freedom in your efforts over the long term. Now, I've said it in 1 or 2 videos of mine that quantity leads to quality, but as I said above, the principles of productivity are really subjective. So, in some situations, obsessing over the quantity can be really beneficial, but for some other situations, it's the other way around. And one thing I'd like to take from this book is that good things take time. So, I'd want to take my work life with the quantity leads to quality approach. But for my relationships and some other parts of my life, I'd like to obsess over the quality and make something good out of it by putting in efforts and taking things at their natural pace. Well, that's it for today. If you like this, you might like to check out this video over here where I talk about some myths about productivity that are wasting your time. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.